right, I am trying to find
Keep throwing it.
the introduction for my beloved Mirabai. I know we're small, she's very famous all over the world, but we're very lucky to have her here in our little circle. For her, she's going to talk about Sita and the sacred balance of yin and yang. And we all know that she's an award-winning author. What I didn't know when I read this, you have 12 books already? Did I read that correctly? You're at 12? I know, it's like when I do 18 CDs, I'm like, was it 18? Was it 17? I don't know. She's got a whole bunch of books that are all really good and you should read all of them. And yes, the Wild Heart that she does online for grief and loss, all of her online stuff, go check it out, mirabaistarr.com. There is so much rich learning there, and we are very blessed to have you here today. Give it up for Mirabai. You can scoot closer if you want.
Do you want me closer? Just
No, it sounds good.
okay.
You're good.
I don't want to pop my peas.
No
Don't
popping
do
the
that.
peas. No
God
popping the
forbid.
peas.
Thank you, Benny. Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute, Mirabai, I got
And thank you,
something for
everyone.
you.
Oh,
Oh, a pea popper preventer.
Little bit helps. Now we're professional.
Let's all take another breath because we could use it.
Yeah.
oh yeah. Oh yes.
Ground down into Mother Earth, as Jenny invited us earlier. The connection's already been made. Now we're just going to deepen it with another couple of breaths. Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram. In the Hindu tradition, which I bow to this morning with great respect, Sitaram is one word, the goddess and the god, the immanence and the transcendence, the embodied and the formless are intermingled, and she leads. Sitaram, it's not Ram Sita. Sitaram, Sitaram. So today we invoke that sacred balance in ourselves and in the world. In a world that is so obviously out of balance, where principles of the not so healthy masculine have taken over and are running rampant. And some people say that it's, in response to the rising of the feminine again, that there's this countervailing energy or the dying gasps of that which needs to go. And so maybe that's what's happening, and we don't need to worry so much. But in the meantime, a lot of damage is being done. And the ripples of what's happening now as a result of this sort of the poisonous part of the masculine, are going to last for a long time and do damage, especially to the planet, to the atmosphere, to our mother, the earth. And that's the part that concerns me now. No, it doesn't concern me most. It's all breaking my heart. I'm with you, Jenny. The sacred rage is alive and well in my heart, in my body. And I too pray for transformation of that rage into something beautiful and helpful. So thank you for that mantra this morning. May my rage be transformed into fierce love and kindness.
And beauty, and compassion, and all the things we need.
Thank you for that. And Mike, thank you for your saying we need a new fucking story. Well, I added fucking, but we need a new story. the old story is doing unspeakable damage. And so many of us in this room and around the world and in our communities, as evidenced by the protest marches yesterday, are saying, no, we can't, it's unbearable, but we will not go to sleep. It's so tempting to use even our most deeply cherished spiritual beliefs and tricks, otherwise known as spiritual practices, to transcend what's going on, not feel our feelings, and or just gloss it over. Everything's gonna be okay, God has a plan, and all of that.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, 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 as Jenny Bird says. So don't go to sleep, don't gloss it over. If God has a plan, I don't think it includes this kind of suffering. Maybe God, what she really has in mind is for all of us to come together and rise up with our fierce no. And our gentle, loving yes. Yes to what matters most. So, Sita Ram. So in terms of telling a new story, I've been in the mood to shake up the prevailing religious mythologies across the traditions. You know, I start with the Judeo-Christian traditions. They're very easy to pick on for all kinds of obvious reasons. But I'm going to pick on Hinduism today, which is my beloved, probably closest spiritual tradition, other than my ancestral tradition of Judaism, which is really easy to question right now. It's not Judaism that we're questioning. So I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. I didn't get enough sleep last night. So let's it's not Judaism I'm questioning, by the way, right now at all. I feel more Jewish than ever. I feel more committed to the values of social justice that are embedded in my ancestral tradition. What I'm questioning is the policies that are being enacted in the name of Judaism that have absolutely nothing, that are opposite to the true values of chesed, loving kindness, tzedakah, generosity, and overall tikkun olam, the mending of the world, that is considered to be our task, our truest task, not just for Jews, of course, but for all beings. The humans were created with the job and the joy of mending the world when it's broken, when it's torn. So in terms of questioning Judaism, in Hinduism, here's where I'm going. So Sita and Ram are, in addition to these archetypal energies of masculine and feminine in the universe, are characters in a great epic tale. And one of the essential cosmological legends of the Hindu tradition, that, like all good cosmologies, represent the essential truths of the universe for all beings, regardless of your spiritual lineage or lack of. And so in the story of the Ramayana, the story of Ram, there is a tragedy. And the tragedy, well, there are multiple tragedies, which there are in all of our lives. And in this story, Ram is duped, kind of like, was it Isaac in the biblical tradition, who was, or in the betrayer of Esau. Esau was betrayed, right, by his brother Jacob, who stole his birthright. Jesus was betrayed by Judas. There are these betrayals. So Ram was betrayed by his stepmother, who he was supposed to be the rightful ruler of his kingdom, and his stepmom worked it out so that the kingdom was given to her youngest son, and Ram was banished to the forest. And when Ram was banished to the forest, I think it was for, anybody remember, 11 years or something? His brother Lakshman opted to go with him because he was devoted to him, and his new wife Sita also insisted on accompanying him when she could have stayed safely behind in the kingdom and been taken care of until Ram's exile was complete. So off they went to the forest. Now, this was a time when, although they were exiled, they were probably the happiest that they ever were in their whole lives. For those years in the forest, living simply, living together, living off the land. And Sita, what is the earth goddess? So for Sita, living in the forest for those years was reveling in her true nature as the daughter of the earth. Sita was literally the daughter of the earth. She was born, it is said, of a furrow in the earth when her father, King Janaka, was plowing the land. He wasn't plowing the land because he was a farmer and his sustenance came from the land. He was engaged in an ancient Vedic ritual to ask for fertility for all the people of his kingdom. So this was a fertility ritual. He was plowing, and out of a furrow, I always imagine and can smell the warm, rich earth as Janaka is plowing, and he's probably got all of his pujaris around him doing all their Vedic pujas and ceremonies. And out of the earth emerges this baby girl, this beautiful baby girl, Sita. And Janaka lifts her and clasps her to his chest and realizes that the earth goddess has given him this child to raise. And so he and his beloved queen raise Sita as a princess in the kingdom. And she always, even as a child, stays very close to the earth and sings and talks to the animals, and everything grows under Sita's touch. So by the time she comes together with her husband Ram, and there's a whole beautiful story of how Ram and Sita come together in the miraculous ways that he proves that he is the one for Sita. She has this deep connection and knowledge of the earth. Fast forward, Sita is abducted by the 10-headed demon Ravana one day in the forest, who tricks her by masquerading as an old woman who needs help. Ram and his brother Lakshman have gone off for the day to hunt. They've drawn a magic circle around Sita and to protect her. And they tell her, we're going to go off. We saw this deer, who was also, by the way, a trick of Ravana, the demon, who made this deer appear, but it was really Ravana, so that the brothers would go off chasing this beautiful deer for their meal. And they draw a circle around Sita and they say, don't go outside of the circle because this is a special protective space. But when Sita sees this old woman begging and pleading with her for food, she cannot resist. Her heart is so loving and compassionate. And so she steps out of the circle, and Ravana turns back into a demon and whisks her away in his chariot up into the sky and takes her to his kingdom of Lanka. And she drops her jewels along the way. She has the forethought that she's going to leave some evidence so that, because she's a princess, she still has jewels even in the forest, that she will drop these signs that she has been there, so that maybe somebody will find her. And she's exiled in Lanka. Ravana wants to make her his woman. She refuses. He's infuriated, and yet he keeps trying to woo her. He alternates between seduction and violence. It's again the worst part of the masculine, right? And it doesn't work. And she just is lamenting, and she doesn't understand why Ram and his brother Lakshman and all of the forces of good have not come to rescue her. And months and months and months go by, and she begins to lose hope. And then one day, she hears rustling in the tree above her that she's chained to with golden chains. And she looks up, and there's this tiny monkey in the tree. And he's calling and whispering to her in a human voice, Sita. And then he drops something from the tree. It lands at her feet. It's a ring with the name of Ram on the ring. And she realizes it's the ring of her beloved Ram. And she knows that she questions the monkey. She doesn't trust him right away. because he's a monkey. What could he possibly know? Now, the story of this monkey, Hanuman, is that Hanuman was a very magical being with all of the powers of the universe, but he had forgotten. He was given these powers when he was a very young monkey, and he leapt up thinking that the sun was a ripe peach, and he jumped up to pluck the sun from the sky. And the gods were so impressed because he almost made it that they gave him this boon of all power. But then he misused his power by being not by doing anything evil, but by being just such a mischievous monkey, that finally the god said, you know what? You still have the powers, but we're going to give you the curse of forgetting your powers. And so when Sita was abducted and the animals of the forest heard about it, they gathered together, the monkeys and the bears, to try to save her. And they called upon Hanuman, who was full grown by then, to be the leader of the monkeys. And he was like, what? I'm no leader. I don't know anything. And they said, yes, you do. You know. They tried to remind Hanuman of his powers, but like us, these powerful beings that we are, we've forgotten. We've forgotten our power. So Hanuman had to be reminded, and this is how it happened. Ram and Lakshman and all of their friends did engage in a battle with the demons, with Ravana, the 10-headed demon, with his demon army. And Lakshman was mortally wounded. He was dying. And the troops called upon Hanuman to go fly to the mountaintop of Kailash, a distant mountain in the Himalayas, and pick this herb that only grew in this one part of the mountain, Mount Kailash. Pick the herb so that he could bring it to Lakshman and save him. And so Hanuman, not even thinking about it, leapt across the ocean and up to the mountain. That's when he realized that he did in fact have powers. And he went to pick the herb as instructed. And when he got there, he was like, wait, did it have 3 petals or 4 petals? Did it have a white flower or a pink flower? He completely forgot. He was just a monkey. And so, not knowing what to do, he just uprooted the whole damn mountain and flew it back to the battlefield, across the ocean to Lanka to heal Lakshman, which he did. So Hanuman revealed himself to Sita and said, don't worry, there's help coming. And the army came, and Hanuman dipped his tail into fire and lit Lanka on fire. And they rescued Sita, and they brought her back to Ram. So the story of Sita and Ram represents, there's more, and I'll tell you more in a minute, represents that the masculine and feminine aspects of the Godhead have been sundered. And they long for each other. They long to be reunited. All of our longing for the beloved, whether it's in the form of another man or another woman or someone to whom we're passionately attracted, or our longing for God. And in many mystical traditions, the longing for God is a romantic love, because that is the strongest metaphor. We live it through our bodies, for our yearning for union with the divine. There is this inherent sense in so many of us of disconnection, of separation, of being cut off from our source. The opening lines of the Mathnali of Mevlana Jalaluddin Rumi, the great poet Rumi, are, listen, it's like Shema in Hebrew, like the Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Now back to Judaism for a second. Listen. One of my favorite translations of the Shema is, listen, O you who wrestle, who struggle with the universe. All is one. my guru, Neem Karoli Baba, said, Sab Ek, all is one. And so there's the opening lines of the Mathnawi of Rumi are, listen to the song of the reed, ever since I was cut from my reed bed, my cry has set to tears all the women, all the men. And Rumi goes on to say, I want a heart torn by separation, that I may know the agony of longing, because through that fire of desire, I am reunited with my beloved. I dissolve back into the one. And so the song of longing is at the core of all the great mystical traditions. This felt knowledge that once we were one, and somehow we came apart, and we long to be reunited. It's the Song of Songs in the Hebrew scriptures. The bride writhing in her bed at night and finally rising up and going down to the darkened streets and calling out for her beloved. Have you seen him? Have you seen him? It's Mary Magdalene breaking into the halls of the rich and powerful where Jesus is dining, and throwing herself, the Catholic Church now questions this, but I still love this story, throws herself at his feet, and washes his feet with her holy tears. Or in some versions of the story, cracks open an alabaster jar of priceless nard, pours it on his feet, and dries them with her hair. They get all mixed up. And so should you. And so Sita and Ram represent this sacred union, separation, and reunification. And Hanuman, who is the embodiment of devotion, who is God's best friend, is the bridge from the land to the island, from wholeness to exile, from belonging to exile. He is the bridge, his body is the bridge. And through Hanuman, through his loving devotion, his absolute devotion to Sita and Ram as one, they are brought back into union, and balance is restored to the universe. There is no yang without yin. There is no yin without yang. In the yin-yang symbol, which you see hanging over here in the center of this sacred space, the sanctuary in which we are sitting, physically, those of us who are here, the yin-yang symbol is not like a line. It's not a box with a line through it, and one side's black and one side's white. It is a flow, and there is a seed of darkness in the light, and there is a seed of light in the darkness. There is a seed of the feminine implanted in the masculine, and a seed of the masculine germinating inside the feminine, and they flow together in this beautiful arc. So when Sita and Ram come back together, we come back into wholeness. In the Jewish mystical tradition, when we engage in acts of tikkun olam, the mending of the world, tikkun, repair, olam, world, when we do that through every act of fierce kindness, of courageous love, we restore the balance of the masculine and feminine, that sacred marriage that lives inside of every one of us, regardless of our gender. And so when we speak about telling a new story, this is not just a story for women or for non-binary people. This is a story for people of all genders that needs to be told and retold. And so I have people say to me all the time, but aren't you concerned that that we're going to overemphasize the feminine and then we'll be out of balance in the other direction? No, I am not concerned about that. It's going to take, hopefully not thousands of years, as we have been dominated by an unhealthy masculine paradigm. Hopefully it'll be just a couple more. And then we're gonna be back in balance. But what we need to do in the meantime is lift the hidden jewels of feminine wisdom that are buried at our feet. We need to tap into those well springs of fierce love. We need to retell the stories across the spiritual traditions that emphasize the healing magic of the feminine. So what do I mean by that? Sita, goddess of the earth. So at the end of her life, and this is the part of the Ramayana, the story of Ram and Sita, that so many of us find most troubling. So when Sita was returned to Ram, you would think everybody lived happily ever after, right? He longed for her as much as she longed for him. The divine separation is as painful for the masculine as it is for the feminine. Or in the language of the mystical traditions, the Holy One longs for us as much as we long for the beloved. So Ram longed for Sita with every fiber of his being. He went to unbelievable lengths to rescue her from Ravana, from the 10-headed demon, meaning that just every time you cut off one of his nasty heads, another one would grow. I mean, evil is fierce and strong and powerful. But they finally vanquished Ravana, and Sita was returned to Ram, and they went back to Ayodhya, their kingdom, to reign together peacefully and in balance forevermore. But first, Ram had to question Sita's purity. Wait a minute, you have been with this demon for a year. I am sure he has ravished you and taken you as his own, and so you need to prove your purity. And she was like, dude, if you had any idea what I went through to keep him away from me, agony, and plus longing for you and wondering if you were ever gonna, how could you possibly question my loyalty and devotion and purity? And he said, well, everybody in the kingdom is whispering about this, so I've gotta prove my virtue by proving yours. And he made her walk through fire. He made her step into a fire to prove her purity, which she did, not knowing if she would die or not. And she emerged whole. And he was like, okay, you've proven yourself, and we're gonna just live happily ever after now. But then at the end of her life, their life together, I think they ruled for 700 years or something, he brought it up again. It's like, Sita, remember, when you were with Ravana, how do I really know that you didn't cheat on me with him? But once again, Ram was responding to the murmurs, to the gossip in the kingdom. Somebody else brought it up and started questioning his right to be ruler and to have Sita at his side. And so he had to prove that he was virtuous, and because she was virtuous. And he made her do it again. And she said, I'm fucking sick of this. I am tired of this bullshit. I'm not gonna do it. Sorry, I'm untethered a little bit. You'll have to bleep me, Mike. I forget that this is gonna be on the radio. So she said, I refuse. She refused to prove herself again. I'm tired. I'm weary. And so she said, you know what? The earth is my witness. I am a daughter of the earth. And I want to go home to the earth. The Buddha too, touched the earth. The earth is my witness. When he was challenged by Yama, the god of death, when the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, had his awakening, like Jesus in his 40 days in the desert, Siddhartha Gautama also spent 40 days kind of grappling with the forces of light and darkness, or the forces of Dharma and a-Dharma is what they call it in Hinduism or in the Vedic traditions. Dharma is the truth, a-Dharma is the opposite of the truth. So when the Buddha was doing his 49 days of grappling with Dharma and a-Dharma under the Bodhi tree, he was challenged by the god of death, okay, maybe you really are the awakened one and you really have come to bring peace and goodness to all beings, happiness, wellness, safety. But nobody's going to believe you. Like, even if you've gotten hold of the truth now, who's going to listen? Who's going to believe you? And that's when Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, touched the earth. You've seen those images. And everything rumbled and blossoms fell from the sky. And he said, the earth will be my witness. What is the earth? The earth is the essence of the feminine. Gaia, our mother. Sita, the earth goddess herself. And so at the end of her life, when she refused to comply with the old story of masculine domination, of purity and perfection and virtue, the earth opened as it had opened to give birth to the baby Sita, and it took her into her arms, and then the earth closed around her. I've been involved in this project recently called Sita's Gems. I encourage you to check it out online. Sita's Gems. It's an audio production, many hours, in which we excavated all the Sita bits from the Ramayana, and we call it the Sitayana, and we are the Sitayanis. So it's a group of, it's like 6 women commenting on all of the Sita passages. We each take a couple. And then 6 women actors, mostly from India, who read these passages. And then the 6 of us comment on the passages through the lens of our times and our unique idioms. So some of us, most of us, are Indian women who are reclaiming this classic story of the Ramayana as our own, through the benefit of all beings of all genders. So it's 6 of us, 6 beautifully reading these passages, 6 commentaries, and then Krishnadas and Nina do the music. It is exquisite. Sita's Gems, check it out, sitasgems.com. And it's quite a few hours, so you can just savor it. And it's very much on my mind these days, this need to tell a new story, to rescue the gems, the jewels of feminine wisdom across the spiritual traditions. They are there, they are here, and we all need them, and we need them now if we have any hope of restoring wholeness to the world, to a world that is crying out for the reunification of the masculine and feminine. And so people, all of you, of every gender, it is your time to speak on behalf of the feminine, of the goddess, of the mother, of the earth, of innocent girls who are suffering now in the face of this epic violence, this catastrophic emphasis on the most poisonous aspects of the masculine. And those of you in boy-shaped bodies, this is your time also to bring out the very best of the divine masculine, that which, as Allah says through the Prophet Muhammad in the Quran, paradise lies at the feet of the mother. It's your time, dudes, to place yourself in prostration at the feet of the feminine. Thank you.